Can you imagine a cartoon capable of predicting the future more than 3 decades ahead? The Simpsons achieved exactly that, leaving fans with their mouths wide open with surprisingly accurate predictions, from revolutionary technological advances to radical political changes and global disasters. The series even anticipated everything from the unexpected presidency of Donald Trump to innovations that defy our wildest imaginations. More than just simple satire, this iconic show has transformed into a curious and disturbing window into what the future might hold. With 2025 approaching, some of these predictions are taking on an increasingly grim, impactful, and disturbingly plausible shape. Get ready to discover the 10 most terrifying predictions from The Simpsons that might be closer to our reality than we ever imagined. Number 10. The collapse of the big technology companies. In one memorable episode of The Simpsons, Springfield transforms into a dystopian wasteland following the collapse of a fictitious theological giant, dragging the economy down with it. Although the plot seemed exaggerated, today it sounds uncomfortably close to reality. Big technology companies like Meta, Google, and Amazon dominate the digital world, but cracks are beginning to appear. Scandals, mismanagement, monopolistic practices, and growing concerns over data privacy have put these companies under intense scrutiny. Governments around the world are imposing stricter regulations on artificial intelligence, data collection, and online monopolies. Such measures could force significant operational changes, threatening the dominance of these technological titans. It is enough to recall the Cambridge Analytica scandal that rocked Facebook, now Meta, and unleashed regulatory investigations and lawsuits. Add to that mounting layoffs, rising cyber threats, and public rejection of invasive technologies, and we have a recipe for potential disaster. If one major player collapses, the domino effect could be catastrophic. With economies interconnected to the success of big technology, global instability, stock market crashes, job losses, and the collapse of digital infrastructures could follow what was once a cartoon exaggeration. Now it seems like a chilling prophecy. Could 2025 mark the fall of these technological titans? Only time will tell. Number 9. The rise of the Lords of Artificial Intelligence. Remember that episode of The Simpsons in which artificial intelligence takes control of Springfield, turning the city into a dystopian nightmare? At the time, it seemed like pure science fiction, but today artificial intelligence is everywhere and getting smarter every day. We have AIs like ChatGPT writing essays, Midjourney creating artworks, and robots performing tasks once done by humans. It sounds incredible, right? But here comes the terrifying part. Experts are beginning to sound the alarm, warning that if artificial intelligence continues to expand without control, it could do more than just replace jobs. It could start making decisions for us. Imagine artificial intelligence managing industries, controlling economies, or even influencing governments. And we cannot forget ethical issues. Deep fakes make it difficult to distinguish reality from falsehood. Biased algorithms create unjust systems, and some countries are already testing AI-powered weapons. We are accelerating toward a future where humans might no longer be in command. Will 2025 be the year when artificial intelligence crosses the line from being a useful tool to something far more sinister? The Simpsons might have had a premonition about this, and we can only hope this prediction remains in the realm of fiction. Number 8. Food shortages and synthetic foods. Remember that episode of The Simpsons where natural resources run out and everyone is forced to eat strange synthetic foods? At the time, it seemed over the top, but today that possibility might not be so far off. Climate change is wreaking havoc on agriculture. High temperatures, droughts, and extreme weather conditions make it increasingly difficult to grow crops. Add to this overpopulation and disruptions in global supply chains, and we have a recipe for food scarcity. Some scientists warn that traditional agriculture might not be able to keep up with demand. Emerging solutions such as lab-grown meat and plant-based alternatives are already gaining traction. Lab-grown meat is making its way onto supermarket shelves, and companies like Beyond Meat and Impossible Foods are on the rise. These innovations promise a more sustainable future, but let's be honest, it's not the same as savoring a juicy steak or fresh vegetables. Will 2025 see synthetic foods become the new normal? A world where natural ingredients are scarce luxuries and meals come from laboratories rather than farms. It's a chilling thought, and while The Simpsons made us laugh, the reality of this prediction could leave a bitter taste. Let's hope we find balance before this scenario becomes real. Number 7. A global financial crisis. In an unforgettable episode of The Simpsons, Springfield plunges into chaos after a massive stock market crash triggers global economic turbulence. At the time, it seemed like an exaggerated satire, but this might be a warning of what lies ahead in 2025. Economists today are warning of a possible global recession. Inflation is rising, debt levels are skyrocketing, and many countries are struggling to recover from the financial stress of recent years. Some experts compare the current economic climate to the period before the collapse of 2008. Think layoffs in the technology sector, unstable real estate markets, and rising prices for consumer goods. These are patterns that have been seen before and led to disastrous consequences. If one major economy fails, the domino effect could trigger a global financial crisis, affecting jobs, savings, and even access to basic necessities. Could 2025 be the year history repeats itself? Let's hope this is a prediction we can avoid. Number 6. Extreme weather events. If you are a fan of The Simpsons, you know that the show has a knack for predicting extreme weather events, from massive hurricanes to deadly heat waves devastating Springfield. What once was exaggerated for comedic effect now begins to seem remarkably accurate. Global warming and rising sea levels are fueling increasingly frequent and severe natural disasters. In recent years, we have witnessed record-breaking wildfires, intense hurricanes, and devastating floods around the world. For instance, in 2020, more than 13 climate-related disasters were recorded, according to the World Meteorological Organization, causing billions in damages. These events are becoming more intense and unpredictable, a trend that is likely to continue. The Simpsons predicted similar scenarios decades ago, but with the acceleration of climate change, these occurrences are no longer pure fiction. The summer of 2023 was one of the hottest ever recorded, with heat waves sweeping across Europe, North America, and Asia, triggering fires and crop failures. Will 2025 bring even more catastrophic weather events if these patterns persist? The Simpsons might be warning us, and while it's a terrifying thought, it is one we may have to face. Number 5. Space tourism gone wrong. In a particularly wild episode, the residents of Springfield sign up for a commercial space trip that ends in disaster. Although the show used this storyline for comedic effect, real-world space tourism is literally taking off, and the risks are far greater than we imagined. Companies like SpaceX, Blue Origin, and Virgin Galactic are leading the charge in space tourism, offering wealthy tourists the chance to experience a few minutes of zero gravity. These ventures are seen as the next big thing in luxury travel. But what if something goes wrong? A mission failure, technical problem, or even a miscalculation could lead to catastrophic consequences, as we have already seen in past tragic space accidents. Space tourism is not just an exciting adventure, it comes with serious risks. The safety protocols for these private missions are still being developed, and many experts fear that unforeseen failures could have deadly outcomes. Additionally, the environmental impact of frequent rocket launches, especially in terms of carbon emissions, is a growing concern. Could 2025 be the year when space tourism faces a disaster of enormous proportions? Although the Simpsons episode was exaggerated, the reality is that space travel is risky, and if something goes wrong, it could be catastrophic. Number 4. Political instability in the United States. In several episodes of The Simpsons, we saw the country plunged into political chaos, often led by unstable or dishonest leaders, from corrupt politicians to chaotic election processes. These storylines, once seen as overblown, are beginning to sound like predictions in today's increasingly polarized political climate. Recent events, such as the controversial elections of 2020, ongoing political gridlock, and growing distrust in the system, reveal a nation more divided than ever. The rise of extremist positions on both sides, coupled with the spread of misinformation, has led to calls for reform, though concrete actions remain scarce. With the elections of 2024 on the horizon, uncertainty over leadership, voter rights, and the integrity of the electoral process could further inflame the situation. The Simpsons always hinted at a possible breakdown in the United States political system, and if these divisions persist, 2025 could be marked by similar instability, contested elections, civil unrest, or even an authoritarian turn. The possibility of unprecedented political instability is not as far-fetched as it once seemed. Could the Simpsons have predicted the collapse of democracy? It's a chilling thought, but the warning signs are there. Number 3. Advances in time travel. Do you remember that zany episode of The Simpsons in which Homer disrupts time and creates a series of hilarious and disastrous paradoxes? Even though it was all for entertainment, real-world scientists are beginning to take time travel theories seriously, especially with advances in quantum mechanics. In recent years, physicists have explored the concept of time travel through theories like wormholes and quantum entanglement. Some believe that one day we might be able to manipulate space-time in such a way that traveling to the past or future becomes possible. Although this idea still sounds like science fiction, advances in quantum computing and particle physics are bringing us closer to understanding how it might be possible. But with great power come great risks. Imagine the ethical dilemmas. Altering the past could cause irreparable harm to the future. What would happen if someone used time travel for their own benefit? Or worse, to modify crucial historical events? The consequences could be disastrous. Will 2025 be the year we crack the code of time travel? Tempting as the possibility is, it is also terrifying. The Simpsons may have been onto something when they suggested that tampering with time is far from simple, and that the risks might well outweigh the rewards. Number 2. Outbreak of a global health crisis. The Simpsons were always quick to foresee the unthinkable, and one of their most frightening predictions was that of a global health crisis, mirroring the real-life COVID-19 pandemic. In the episode Marge in Chains, a virus originating in Asia spreads across the globe, causing chaos and widespread panic. Exactly what happened in the early days of COVID-19 in the real world. The threat of another global health crisis is not unlikely. Antibiotic resistance is increasing, with some superbugs becoming nearly impossible to treat, while emerging diseases such as monkeypox, avian influenza, and even new strains of COVID continue to make headlines. Health experts warn that it is not a question of if, but when, the next pandemic will hit. Global interconnectedness facilitates the rapid spread of diseases, and climate change along with habitat destruction is bringing humans closer to wildlife, increasing the risk of new zoonoses. Will 2025 be the year we face another global health crisis? Given the growing number of threats, The Simpsons might have been right about another viral outbreak lurking just around the corner. Number 1. A devastating world war. In one of the most frightening episodes of The Simpsons, the world plunges into a massive global conflict with devastating consequences. Although the show often approached this subject with humor, the reality of a world war is anything but amusing. As tensions around the globe rise, the prediction of a catastrophic world war might be closer than we think. Currently, we observe latent geopolitical tensions that could easily escalate into something far more catastrophic. For example, the conflict between Russia and Ukraine demonstrates how a regional war can have global implications. Similarly, tensions in the South China Sea, in the Middle East, and even in the relations between the United States and China create a precarious global scenario. These conflicts have the potential to drag more nations into an all-out war. The rise of nuclear weapons, combined with economic sanctions, arms races, and ever-shifting alliances, adds another layer of complexity. Countries are more heavily armed than ever, and the risk of a miscalculation or act of aggression leading to war is a real concern, especially considering that nuclear weapons remain in the arsenals of the world's major powers. Could 2025 be the year we witness a large-scale global conflict? If these trends persist, that possibility is very real. However, there is still hope. Diplomatic efforts, international cooperation, and a united commitment to peace are crucial. World leaders must prioritize diplomacy and conflict resolution to avoid the destruction that The Simpsons so ominously warned us about. And that's it. The Simpsons, with their wit and humor, predicted chilling events that might come to pass in 2025. Which of these predictions do you find the most plausible or unsettling? While these forecasts are alarming, they also remind us of the importance of staying informed, being prepared for challenges, and committing to building a better future. With awareness and action, perhaps we can avoid some of these dark paths. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more content that makes us think.